Hi guys, I just wanted to finish page 10 with you, so you want to take out your packet. It's a problem that we started in class about the ball falling. So we left at number 3. When does the ball hit the ground? And I know that we really quickly sketched this. This was 96. The ball's going to go up and fall. And then this is where it hits the ground. So when does the ball hit the ground? Let's go find that time. If it's going to hit the ground, that means the height is 0. So you put all of this equal to 0. That's what I was doing when the bell rang. And then it's a quadratic, we're solving it. Let's take out the negative 16. I want to take out a negative 16 so the t squared is positive, right? Can you imagine like factoring when it's like negative x squared, let's say 5x plus 6? That's really difficult when there's a negative there. So I don't want my leading coefficient to be negative 1. I want it to be positive 1. So I take out a negative 16. 80 divided by negative 16 is negative 5. 96 divided by negative 16 is negative 6 equals 0. Let's go factor. The negative 6 is negative, and that's positive. You're supposed to put everything equal to 0. You know, it doesn't make sense if I put negative 16 equal to 0, so let's not worry about that. If I put that equal to 0, I get 6. And if I put that equal to 0, I get negative 1. When does the ball hit the ground? Well, not at negative 1 second. It hits the ground at 6 seconds. So that's the answer. This number right here is 6. I'm going to go on to number 4. At what time will the object reach its maximum height? What time, right? They want seconds, they want time. So let's look at the graph. What's the x value when it reaches the maximum? This is the highest point of my ball because I threw it up. They're asking for the x value right here. That's what they want. They want what time was that going to happen? So that's the vertex, guys and girls. They want you to go find the vertex of this lopsided parabola. So why don't you do this with me? Like draw it really lightly. It's not part of the situation, and I'll just draw it like a little y-axis. Imagine if I was making all 4 quadrants, which I'm not. So this is drawn really lightly because I'm going to put negative 1 on my x-axis here. This is negative 1. Why am I doing that? It's because these 2 points are the x-intercepts. Remember when you put the whole thing equal to 0 and you solve? This is an x-intercept, it's at 6. This is the other x-intercept, it's negative 1. Now if you have these 2 plotted, you know you can find the midpoint really easily. Because for 4, when it says what time will the object reach its maximum height, we want the x-coordinate of the vertex. Please write this down with me. We want the x-coordinate of the vertex. I need to find the midpoint. Okay, the whole thing is 7. Half of 7, I'm sorry, it's a decimal. It won't be on the test, so please don't worry. Half of 7, or 7 divided by 2 is 3.5. This is 3.5. The answer is not 3.5. From 6, if you go 3.5 spaces to the left, or if you do 6 minus 3.5, grab your calculator if you need to, you'll get 2.5 seconds. That is the x-coordinate of the vertex. That's the x-coordinate, 2.5. 5 says, what is the maximum height? So, you know the y values represent height. The tallest, the highest the ball will go is the y-coordinate of the vertex. Write this down, please. So we need to find the y-coordinate of the vertex. We've got the x-coordinate. It's 2.5. Grab your calculator, plug in for t, 2.5. So you're going to do negative 16, 2.5. Let me show you the top part too. Negative 15. So sorry, negative 16 times 2.5 squared plus 80 times 2.5 plus 96. Grab your calculator. Pause the video because I'm going to give out the answer in a second. pause the video and go get the answer, it's 196 feet. So this y value is 196. Okay, focus on these. Try the 5, 6, and 2 on your own. Those are not that difficult. Do me a favor, I want to continue with the packet. I want you from the packet to look at page 13. Actually, look at page 12. So I'm going to give out some hints from page 12. On page 12, okay. On page 12, this is what page 12 looks like. Let me give out some hints because you're going to do this on your own. It's a review. So factor the quadratic. Do me a favor. Don't forget to take out the GCF. 4, 2, and 56. 2 goes into everything. So take out the GCF. And then you'll get, this is going to give you 28. And now go factor. Factor this part. Don't forget the 2. Do the AC method, the grouping method. The 2 is just going to tag along and your final answer will have a 2 and those 2 factors. So that's how you should do number 1. Number 2 you'll be okay with. Remember it says solve. This one didn't. This one just says factor. So you have 2 times the 2 factors. Solve. Once you bring the 2 over, add 2, you'll get 10. It's factorable. Go factor, and your answer is going to be 2 values. Okay. Number 3 says solve the equation using your method. So letter A, you can't find 2 numbers that multiply to give you 20, and then the numbers add to give you A. This is not factorable. So do the quadratic formula. Okay. This one, let's not factor. Let's add the 72. This is the square root method. So I'm going to remind you of all the methods. You've got solving by factoring. You've got solving by the quadratic formula. And you've got solving by taking the square root of both sides. Don't forget the plus or minus. That's the third way. Again, let's not take the square root right now. Let's add 72. And then let's divide by 9. Then you take the square root of both sides. So this is where I want you to finish. And you'll take the square root of both sides. Don't forget the plus or minus. Don't forget to simplify this 8. Like that's not the final answer. You're going to have to simplify square root of 8. See, I'm going to use the square root of method, but not yet. I have to get rid of the negative 4 by dividing both sides by negative 4. It'll be x plus 8, the whole thing squared. I believe it's negative 36. I'm hoping I did that division right. You know it's negative because positive divided by negative. Then take the square root of both sides, and you'll get an I here because that's the square root of a negative. Right? This is going to be your next step. And you go and finish simplifying, and then you subtract 8. Okay. Last one. This looks kind of awkward. Ignore that. Ignore all of this right now. You don't have any of this. So ignore that. So number 4. Which quadratic equation has non-real roots? Non-real means not real. Not real means imaginary. So how do you figure out if you're going to have real roots or imaginary? Go back to your packet if you forgot. You look at the discriminant. I'm on page 5. This tells you when you get imaginary solutions, when you get real solutions, when you get just one solution, you're going to do the discriminant, which is just b squared minus 4ac. Don't do the whole quadratic formula. In A, you're going to need to do the whole quadratic formula. So in 3a, if you're solving, you're going to have to do this whole thing for A, not for number 4. You're just going to do b squared minus 4ac. And if you want imaginary, you're going to choose the one that when you do b squared minus 4ac, if it ends up being negative. If you forgot that, take a look at page 5, number 8. Okay, I'm sorry. I know that I'm like up to the 10-minute mark. I want to help you with one more problem. This problem's on page 13 of your packet. Let me just make sure. Page 13?
Yep.
Okay. Page 13.